Hello, and welcome to the newest episode of The Debate Mates. I'm your co-host, Matthew Swanenberg, and to my left is my other co-host, Jackson Cashwell. Today, again, we don't have Nathan. He was planning on coming, but something came up. So, we're just going to have to...
Soldier on without him.
Yeah,
Hope to have him back soon.
Yep, Nathan, if you're watching, and hopefully you are watching, make sure to come back, get better. He's dealing with migraines and a lot of things right now. So hopefully he'll be back soon. And like I've been saying for the past couple of episodes, we'll have the big three back. The big three attack, I guess. Yeah. So, going from health-related problems to more serious health-related problems. Victor Oladipo went down with a pretty... Can't say gruesome because we didn't really see what happened, but a pretty terrible
serious injury. Yeah.
So as most of you probably know, a ligament in his quad bursted. I guess that's proper.
Burst.
Yeah. So he's obviously out for the season.
And undergo surgery and
7 to 12 months is his time back on the court, so we might not even see him back until around the All-Star break next year. So, obviously, we can look at this from the player perspective all day and say, I'm really sorry for him, and hopefully he gets better.
Yeah.
But let's look at it from an NBA perspective.
Mm-hmm.
The East is not very good, as we all know.
Right.
Any team can make it anywhere. So, with teams like the Sixers and the Celtics currently behind the Pacers, where do you see them finishing in the standings?
I don't think they're going to have a crazy drop-off because Victor Oladipo obviously hasn't had as amazing a season as everyone thought he would. After last year, everyone was thinking, he's going to be averaging 25 points a game.
Yeah.
He's up there, at 19 points a game, and he's had a big effect on the Pacers, no doubt, and he's definitely the best player. But I just don't see them having as huge a drop-off as everyone thinks. I don't think they're going to fall out of the playoff picture. I think they definitely won't hold on to that third seed.
Yeah.
I think maybe they'll drop to maybe more like a fifth seed. But they've got some other good guys in that roster. Tyreek Evans, they've got Miles Turner, Thaddeus Young. They've got a lot of talent on the team outside of Victor Oladipo. So I think they can still hold on to a playoff spot. I just don't think that they'll hold on to the third seed that they have right now.
Yeah, I agree with you. So I think that we'll see a lot of restructuring in the Eastern Conference playoffs in the next couple of months leading into April when the playoffs begin.
Mm-hmm.
Probably see the Celtics jump up and the Sixers now. And then I agree with you. I could see the Pacers falling no lower than 5. Because if you look at the teams behind them, teams like Charlotte, Miami, Brooklyn. Brooklyn's dealing with a lot of injuries right now. Spencer Dinwiddie's out 2 to 4 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously that will hold them back. They could maybe fall down to a 7-8 seed. The Heat just don't seem like the type of team that has that run in them at this point in the season.
Absolutely not.
And then the Hornets, they're not going to finish anything better than 500 in my opinion. And I don't see the Pacers dropping anywhere below 500. So, yeah, obviously it's disappointing. It's really devastating for a really good team. I mean, I looked at something last night, and he used to play for the Pacers when Paul George was there. He won Most Improved Player. His name was Danny Granger, I think his name was. Won Most Improved Player, and then injured out for the year. Paul George won Most Improved Player, out for the year. Victor Oladipo won Most Improved Player, and now is out for the year. So they've had a lot of bad luck, but they've been through it. Paul George obviously has been in the same situation with Indiana and was traded for Oladipo, so he had some kind words for him, and hopefully will help him through this process of becoming a great player again. But back to the NBA side of things and standings-wise, do you think the Pacers maybe could knock out a team in the first round, but could put up a fight with a team like Milwaukee or the Sixers or Celtics?
I think that the Pacers... I don't think they beat a team like the Sixers or Celtics, but I do think that they could take them to 6 or 7 games. Because when you look at what happened a couple seasons ago, when you had the Pacers playing the Cavs... Right. Sure, they lost in 4, but those were all very close games. They
lost in 7.
Oh yeah, lost in 7, but they were all very close games. Sorry, and that was when you could argue that they were a worse team than they are now. I'd argue that they've done better with Victor Oladipo than they did with Paul George, and
they had Oladipo last year.
No, I'm talking about 2 years ago.
Oh, okay. Oh, I was thinking you were talking about last year. They didn't take him to 7 2 years ago.
Oh yeah. I'm talking. Yeah, remember
I got
with
confused.
LeBron versus Paul George in the playoffs, and you see that
Brain
you
fart.
could argue that they're better with Oladipo than they were with Paul George, and so with that, when they took the Cavs, who obviously ended up going to the finals that year, to 7 games, a team like the Celtics or the 76ers, I don't think they would beat a team on that level, but I think they could at least take them 6-7 games. It could be an interesting series.
Yeah, I agree with you. The Pacers still have a lot of talent. Like you mentioned, they have a lot of great players.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're finally going to see Miles Turner take the jump that we've all been expecting him to take from.
He's got potential. He's
Yeah,
just never.
he's always taken. He's kind of just been climbing the ladder up to becoming a great player, and now we'll see if he can do what the Celtics players did, where when they got thrown in a big time situation, they started to show their true talent, and maybe Miles Turner can have that same type of epiphany for the Indiana Pacers. So moving on to a more fun topic, we had the All-Star Game starters revealed recently on Thursday night. So do you have any reactions to the starters? Any snubs?
One thing that surprised me is the Western Conference starters. The Eastern Conference starters, for me at least, were pretty much exactly who you would expect.
Right.
Expected. I think an argument could be made that maybe Blake Griffin got snubbed for the East. But for the West, I feel like they had 6 guys in the West who are really worthy of being starters.
Right.
Curry, Harden, Durant, AD, LeBron, and Paul George. And obviously not all 6 of them can start, and it ended up being AD who got taken out of that starting position, and I think it's because of his injury.
Right.
Because he might not be able to play in the All-Star game. I was not expecting Paul George to be in the starting lineup. It's not that I don't think he's worthy of it, because I think he is. I just didn't expect him to get it over a guy like AD, who's been having a great season outside of his injury. And of course, LeBron's going to get it. Of course, Curry and Harden are going to get it. I figured Paul George would be the one to be snubbed. But it was Anthony Davis,
Yeah.
who still deserves a spot on the All-Star roster, even if he doesn't play, which we're going to get into now with our picks for the All-Star reserves and a couple of dark horse candidates who could make it in place of our candidates. So if you want to start off with your Western Conference reserves.
All right, I will. So, as you mentioned, Anthony Davis, arguably, or could have, or from a certain perspective, you could say he got snubbed from the starting role in an All-Star game. So I'm taking him as a backup, along with Nikola Jokic, who I think also, some people also believed he got snubbed from the All-Star game.
As a starter,
Yeah. Karl Anthony Towns, maybe not the best player, and maybe not on the best team, but he's still a really great player.
He's played a lot better without Jimmy Butler in Minnesota.
I know the All-Star game is supposed to be based off of the whole season, but a lot of people, this comes in even in like conversations when you get towards the end of the year, like MVP and Rookie of the Year. A lot of people have that recency bias where they see what's been happening recently, and because it's the newest, coolest thing, that's the thing that sticks in the back of your mind. And I think the coaches respect Towns. He made it last year, so I think he's probably a shoo-in. Then I have Tobias Harris, who I think is the most likely out of all of my picks to not make it, because the Clippers are great, and I know winning isn't necessarily a main factor in going to the All-Star game, but by the same token, it kind of is, because a lot of coaches, they decide, like the Warriors, Klay Thompson, who I have down, he probably doesn't deserve to be an All-Star, but because he's on the Warriors, you just look at the team that's so great, and you assume they should have more than 2 All-Stars. So, like I mentioned, I have Klay on the list. Damian Lillard, Trailblazers are doing great. He's the engine running it, having great numbers. And then I might have actually another player that's less likely to make it than Tobias Harris. I have Donovan Mitchell, second-year player for Utah. Like I said, and as I mentioned earlier, recency bias comes in, I think, to how coaches vote. And he's been playing great ever since Ricky Rubio went down with an injury. He's been really good as the starting point guard for the Jazz. Having a great season so far, and I think he definitely deserves it. And then as my 2 dark horses, I have LaMarcus Aldridge, because someone has to make it from the Spurs, I think. And I think he's having a better season than DeRozan. And then I have the rookie wonder boy Luka Doncic, because no one expected the Mavs to be this good, and really it's because of him.
And you didn't mention Damian Lillard.
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, so the Trailblazers are good.
If
I didn't,
I didn't
Damian
mention
Lillard, I
Lillard,
think.
yeah. My All-Star reserves are very similar. I think they might actually be the same and different. Oh, no, they're a little bit different. Okay. So for the West, I put Damian Lillard, Donovan Mitchell, who originally I didn't put on my list because he had kind of a slow start to the season. I think he's the best second-year player in the league
I
right
agree,
now.
yeah.
Along with guys like, well, you could argue Kuzma, De'Aaron Fox. I think Donovan Mitchell is ahead of those guys. Nikola Jokic, I think, definitely deserves it. He's had easily the best year of his career. Anthony Davis, who arguably should have been a starter. And Karl Anthony Towns, he's been playing great as of late without Jimmy Butler in Minnesota, obviously with all that drama. And I put LaMarcus Aldridge on there, Klay Thompson, who is one you could probably argue because even though he's averaging 22 points a game and he's having a great year, shooting it pretty efficiently, he has had a down year from three. He's shooting a career low, I believe, 38%. And he hasn't been crazy consistent this year, especially at the beginning of the year. He was very inconsistent with his shot. And then my two dark horse candidates are Luka Doncic and Russell Westbrook. So let me explain this before a bunch of Russell Westbrook fanboys in the comments get triggered. The reason I didn't...
We have fanboys?
Of course not. But Russell Westbrook does. The reason that I think Westbrook doesn't deserve to be an all-star this year is because, A, you hear the phrase stats don't lie a lot, but I think that's kind of untrue.
Misleading.
It's very misleading because this is something that is argued a lot. I do believe that Westbrook pads his stats. You see him box out his teammates a lot, and you see him pass up, sometimes good shots for himself to get a shot for a teammate so he can get an assist or not pass it off to another teammate so he can shoot it himself to get more points. He, in my opinion, absolutely stat pads. So even though he's averaging a triple-double, I feel like it's kind of misleading, his stats. And his efficiency this year is
And the dumps.
horrible. He's shooting in the 20s in three-point percentage, and he's in the low 40s in field goal percentage, and his free throw percentage has been appalling this year.
Yeah, Westbrook is very sporadic with his play type because you'll see in the game against San Antonio, the double overtime game, Westbrook was a great playmaker, and then he'll go into another game and he'll just look to score. He needs to find a balance between the two.
And it's so frustrating watching him because he's got so much talent and he's so athletic and so much potential, and then he kind of wastes it all with stat padding and selfish play.
Yeah. And his buddy, obviously, Paul George in the starting lineup this year. But I think Westbrook will probably make it because
the coach.
Yeah,
the
like
coach
I mentioned earlier, Wade goes into a lot of this, and the Thunder do have a great record, and they probably deserve to have two All-Stars. So moving on, we'll go to the East, and I guess I'll start this one off as well. I think the East I think there are 6 players in the East for the bench that are no-brainers. And then when you get to the 7th spot, it's kind of a little bit shaky.
Some of these guys, yeah.
Yeah, like my first 6 that just came to mind as soon as I thought of All-Stars in the East. Ben Simmons. Some people argue he got snubbed. He's having a great season, and like I mentioned, the winning goes into this. And that's the last one I'm going to say because I've said it a lot. And so then I got Bradley Beal having a great year, real deal Beal. Victor Oladipo obviously had a bad injury, but still deserves a nod. D'Angelo Russell, I have in there, playing great for the Nets. Blake Griffin, you've mentioned this 1,000 times, one of the most underrated players in the league. Your least favorite player, Nikola Vucevic.
I hate Nikola
And then
Vucevic. And I'm a Magic fan.
Here's the 7th player that I wasn't really sure of, and you kind of talked me into him. I have Zach LaVine, so if you'd like to. And then my 2 wild cards, I have Jimmy Butler, who's had a pretty decent year, but I don't think he's necessarily been an all-star. He's kind of played down from what we're used to for him. And that's because he plays with a team of 2 other all-stars.
Yeah, he was playing much better in Minnesota, obviously, when he was the first option.
And then I have Kyle Lowry, who will also most likely be a starter, probably in the place of like a Levine or not Oladipo, but D'Angelo Russell.
Anyway, my Eastern starting lineup is Ben Simmons, Jimmy Butler, who obviously hasn't been playing as great in Philadelphia as he did in Minnesota, because of course in Minnesota he was the first option, and Wiggins this year has been not great. And so, obviously, and then with Karl Anthony Towns didn't play great when Butler was there. So Butler was their first option. He was playing amazing in Minnesota. His stats have declined in Philadelphia, but that's to be expected because there are so many other great players with Philadelphia. So Simmons, Butler, Oladipo, who of course isn't going to be playing in the All-Star game if he gets the nod, but I think he deserves it anyway with the way that he's with the level that he's taken the Pacers to. Bradley Beal, of course, played great in John Wall's absence. Blake Griffin, who, of course, I believe is very underrated. Zach LaVine, who is quietly top 10 shooting guard in the league, in my opinion. He's very quietly one of the top shooting guards in the league. He's averaging 23 points a game. And granted, he's doing it in Chicago, where it's not like they have a ton of great options in Chicago, but I think he's extremely underrated. And I put Nikola Vucevic, as much as I'd love to hate on the guy. And then my dark horses are D'Angelo Russell and Kyle Lowry. Kyle Lowry, I don't know if he's really earned it. He's averaging 14 points a game, which isn't great. He could be doing a lot better, but he is averaging 9 assists a game, which is big. And then D'Angelo Russell, of course, not having the total breakout season that everyone has been expecting him to have, but it's definitely been one of his best years.
Yeah.
So I think he could get it.
I have a question for you. So a lot of the reasons a lot of people didn't want Dwayne Wade to make the All-Star game is because he's taking it away from someone more undeserving. Mm-hmm. So with Oladipo being injured and not being able to play, and he'll most likely be voted in as a reserve, do you think this is a good opportunity for the NBA to slip Dwayne Wade in there? Because it's not taking it away.
I think that the NBA should implement some kind of exceptional type of rule for cases like this. And it's the same thing that they had with Kobe back in 2015-16. Obviously, it was his farewell year, one of the greatest players in NBA history. You would feel bad not letting him play in the All-Star game one last time. But at the same time, did he really deserve it?
No.
He's taking up a roster spot that someone who's having a great season could fill. So you have to think, what is more important, the sentimental value of giving him one last All-Star game or the fairness of giving it to the person who has played better? So I think you could argue both sides, but I think that the NBA should implement some kind of rule where the East and the West for an All-Star game can each have 1 or 2 extra roster spots for some kind of sentimental thing, with Wade in the East and Dirk in the West. They need to implement some kind of rule to get around that because it's unfair to young players who are playing great, and it's also unfair to players with great legacies such as Dirk and Wade who won't get to play in one last All-Star game. So I think they need to make some kind of rule to get around that.
Yeah. All right, now, assuming Dwayne Wade does not replace Oladipo, out of your 2 dark horses, which are D'Angelo Russell and Kyle Lowry, who do you think should deserve that
between
last
them?
Spot? Yeah.
D'Angelo Russell. Mainly because of the Raptors obviously are playing great, but I think that's mostly due to Kawhi's play. And then the Nets are a 6th seed. And for so many years, the Nets were at the bottom of the standings or near the bottom of the standings. And here they are, not just in the playoffs, but as a 6th seed, I think is very impressive. And I think that is due largely to 2 guys, Spencer Dinwiddie and D'Angelo Russell, because Russell obviously is having one of the best or the best seasons of his career. And Dinwiddie, of course, is 6th man of the year type of player. But I would give it to Russell over Lowry.
If something hadn't happened, we could be arguing Karis LeVert right now as an all-star for the East.
I don't know about that.
He was playing really well for the Nets, and he was the best player at the beginning of the year until he got injured. So for mine, I do agree that Russell should be an all-star, obviously, because I put him in my lineup. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to go Kyle Lowry to get a nod for the all-star game because you mentioned the Raptors are playing great mostly due to Kawhi. Well, I do agree that they play great when he is in the lineup, mostly because of his ability on offense and defense. He misses a ton of games. People because he's not out with injury and he just misses every other type of games. People don't realize how much he actually misses, but he misses a lot of games. And Kyle Lowry, Pascal Siakam, they kind of mask it with their abilities because they step up without him in the lineup. The Raptors, if they didn't have a guy like Lowry, they probably would have a lot of a worse record because obviously you wouldn't have that second star to slide in. So I'm going to have to give it to Lowry because their record would definitely look a lot different if they didn't have him without Kawhi. So moving on, we now are going to another all-star event, which we discussed last episode. We have our 3-point dunk contest and the ever-important skills challenge to talk about. So, obviously we did our predictions last episode. So now this is just kind of an informational segment where we're just going to tell you the confirmed contestants.
And if you want to discussion about that. For the dunk contest, the confirmed members at the time of this being filmed. It could change. I mean, by the time this is uploaded, by the time you guys are seeing it. But as of when this is filmed, for the dunk contest, confirmed members Dennis Smith Jr. and Miles Bridges, who neither of us put Dennis Smith Jr. in our lineups. We both put Miles Bridges. And I think that's fair to have them both in there.
I'm pretty happy about that.
I mean, this could be a good dunk contest. I think especially with Miles Bridges.
Yeah.
For the 3-point contest, confirmed members are Damian Lillard, Steph Curry, Seth Curry, and Dirk Nowitzki and Buddy Hield. Lillard, that could be interesting, I guess. I mean, I suppose he deserves to be in there. Steph Curry, of course. Seth Curry, do you think Seth Curry deserves to be in there?
No, I don't think he deserves to be in there because, no, the All-Star weekend is for players that the fans know and the fans love.
Mm-hmm.
So Seth Curry, I don't think deserves to be in it.
It's not that he isn't a great, he's a great shooter. It's just he doesn't get enough minutes as a player, and he's not as big a player, to where the fans really want to come see him.
Yeah.
So, no disrespect to Seth Curry, but I feel like the main reason he's in it is because it's there's this whole kind of narrative thing, I guess. Oh, Steph Curry versus Seth Curry, brothers.
And in Charlotte.
In Charlotte, in their hometown of Charlotte, shooting it out of the 3-point contest, I feel like is a lot of what went into it.
So I have an observation from looking at the invites so far and the confirmed people. Do you think Clay turned it down? Because do you really think they would have invited Buddy Hield and Damian Lillard and Seth Curry before they invited Klay Thompson?
I don't see why Klay Thompson would turn it down. He's been in it several years in a row. He's won it once, and I don't see a
Maybe he
reason
doesn't
why
want
would
to
turn it
take the specialness. Is that a word?
The
The
specialty. I don't know.
I don't know.
Doesn't want to take away how special it is.
Yeah, for Seth Curry and Steph Curry, because that would be the main competition. Because
then
wins Clay versus Steph.
Yeah, and then this year it's gonna be Steph and Seth. It's possible.
Because I don't see them inviting Buddy Hield, especially.
I could see them inviting Buddy Hield. Buddy Hield's a great shooter, and of course Dirk isn't in it because he's a great shooter. He's in it because he's the only 7-footer to have ever won the contest, and it's his last year. So they're like, oh, let's get him in here because it's his last year. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people. There are still 3 more people that need to be invited.
Davis Bertans.
David Bertans.
No, at this point, I don't think he deserves it. Because
not
maybe if it were just the 8 and we didn't have any of these players invited yet, he would deserve it. But like I said with Seth Curry, no one really wants to see Davis Bertans in a 3-point shootout.
Yeah.
So who do you think they should give the final 3 invites to?
Maybe Kemba Walker because it's his hometown. Actually,
Well,
I think I
he's
said Kemba Walker already when we were predicting for the 3-point contest. I don't know if he deserves it. He's not a crazy good 3-point shooter, so I might have to take that one back.
I say Joe Harris should make it.
Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal should make it.
And then maybe
a lot of people are saying.
And then Clay, obviously.
And then Clay should make it, but I feel like it would take away from the narrative of Steph and Seth.
So a lot of people are saying what?
I've heard from a lot of people Eric Gordon. I don't understand that. Eric Gordon is not a high percentage 3-point shooter at all.
Yeah.
He's got crazy deep range and he gets on streaks, but he's not a consistent shooter at all.
Yeah.
I mean, it's he's kind of like how James Harden is in a sense that he'll shoot.
He shoots low when he's hot.
He shoots low, but he shoots high when he gets hot, but he's never a consistent shooter. I mean, James Harden is a better shooter than Eric Gordon in my opinion, but
sorry.
I don't know. I just don't see Eric Gordon being in there.
So one thing I'm kind of surprised about is we know they invited Donovan Mitchell back to the dunk contest, but we have not heard the reigning champ Devin Booker be invited back to the 3-point contest.
Well, he's not having a great year from 3-point.
Yeah, but you would think they're gonna invite back
the reigning champ. I feel like the reigning champ should always be invited back.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know, and he obviously couldn't say I'm not gonna come and focus on my team because they need a lot more than just focus to start playing well at this point. So, on to the most popular event on All-Star Weekend, obviously, aside from the celebrity game. We have the Skills Challenge, which will put rookie versus rookie in the battle of the 3rd pick versus the 5th pick, who are traded for one another. Luka Doncic and Trae Young. Hopefully they're seeded against each other, so Luka Doncic can destroy Trae Young.
So Luka Doncic can destroy Trae Young. Who do you see winning that between Trae Young and Luka Doncic?
Luka. Trae Young.
I don't know. Trae Young is quicker.
Trae Young is quicker, but I could see Trae Young struggling to get the pass through the circle.
Trae Young's a great passer.
That's the silent, but deadly.
Yeah, Trae Young averages 7 assists.
Yeah. But back to that circle thing. That's silent but deadly. That gives everybody.
That thing, oh yeah, if you miss like one pass with that and the
I
other
know.
person hits it,
That's the killer.
that's
right
the
there.
thing that messes you up every time.
Remember when DeMarcus Cousins did the skills challenge and he lost
And he
his
lost the ball, yeah.
And then the third player, and I can see
That's been confirmed.
him winning, is De'Aaron Fox. You
I
mentioned
can see De'Aaron
quickness
Fox win
with-
that. He's incredibly fast, point guard should complete the passing challenge with relative ease.
I would really like to see in this is Russell
Who?
Westbrook.
He's been in it before.
Yeah, I know, but like at this point, because he and De'Aaron
he
Fox are having their feud about who's faster. Let's just
I
battle it out.
could see
Make that an all-star thing. Fastest dribbling the ball down the court. Just time him.
Oh yeah, I could see Russell Westbrook being in like the skills challenge with against one of the big men, and it's the final round, and it's him versus like Nikola Jokic, and Jokic can't make the passing thing, and Westbrook gets it first try, and he's already taking the 3-pointer by the time Jokic hasn't completed his first thing, and then Westbrook just misses the 3-pointer over and over, and eventually loses. I could see him just keep missing the shot, to be honest.
Yeah. Westbrook's not the greatest shooter, as you mentioned
Oh,
earlier.
no.
All right, so now we got 2 more topics to discuss, and one of them will probably make most of the viewers shiver in anger, which is the Warriors are great, and they've won 10 straight. And with the way they're playing, it doesn't look like there's any sign of it stopping. So my question for you, we have their next 5 written down here: Indiana, Philadelphia, Lakers, Spurs, and then the ever-dangerous Phoenix Suns. How far do you see this winning streak going? At least for the next 5 games. Cause
I could see them winning the next 5 games because when you look at the teams that they've beaten, right, in their 10-game win streak, there haven't been a lot of great teams that they've beaten, right? Sacramento Kings are, they're better than anyone expected, but they're not a great team by any means. They beat the Knicks. Everyone beats the Knicks. Chicago. Everyone beats Chicago.
Yeah.
Dallas. Everyone beats Dallas. Denver was a tough game. I'll give them credit for that. New Orleans, obviously, without Anthony Davis, isn't too much of a challenge. Clippers aren't a crazy challenge. The Lakers without LeBron, and then Washington without John Wall, and Boston was a tough game for them. But outside of Boston and Denver, they've played basically 8 out of their 10 games have been like free wins.
Yeah.
So, and then of course with Cousins back, I saw this thing. I was watching the Celtics versus the Warriors game on last night, and they were talking about how the commentators, they were talking about how they're sick of DeMarcus Cousins getting so much credit for all that's going on in Golden State right now. They said like he's been playing okay, but let's stop acting like he's like the only reason they're doing great right now. And I kind of agree with that, honestly, because obviously he's been back just for a few games now, and they have won all the games he's been back for. But they've all been against kind of easy teams to beat besides Boston. So I'd just like to kind of be with them on that. Like, can we stop acting like DeMarcus Cousins is like the biggest thing in Golden State right now? Like, obviously Seth Curry and Kevin Durant are the real reason that they're winning most of their games. Klay Thompson. But, I mean, DeMarcus Cousins, he's played well, but, I mean, are we really... He plays like 20 minutes a game. Are we really going to act like he has some crazy impact on them?
Yeah. How far do you see a Warriors win? Do you think they could maybe this year challenge the record for most wins in a row?
Oh, in a row? No, I don't see that happening.
They'd have to
Because
win 23
sometimes,
more.
sometimes they're just like really inconsistent at times, I feel like. Because if Curry's not hitting, which you people call him the greatest shooter of all time, and I get behind that. I think he's the greatest shooter of all time, but sometimes he's really inconsistent with his shot.
I agree.
Klay Thompson, same thing. He's been kind of up and down this year. Kevin Durant is always consistent, but I mean, Kevin Durant can only take a team so far by himself, and then guys like Draymond Green can't consistently hit a shot, and Cousins doesn't play enough minutes a game to have a huge impact. So, no, I don't see their win streak going crazy long. However, you look at their next 5, Indiana without Oladipo, they should win that. 76ers, that's going to be a tough game.
Yeah.
I could see them losing that. The Lakers, assuming they're still LeBron-less and of course missing Lonzo, I could see them, of course, winning that. San Antonio, they should win. And then Phoenix. San Antonio actually tends to really lock up Golden State, though.
Yeah.
You see, I remember a few years ago, every time San Antonio would play Golden State would almost always win, but San Antonio would always jump out to like this 25-0 lead.
Dude, every time San Antonio and Golden State has played in like the last few seasons before Kevin Durant came, every game they rested every player. Like the game would be on, they rested like every player every time they played.
Mm-hmm. They played him that one time a couple years ago, and they rested like everyone to the point where Ian Clark had to come in and score like 40 points.
Yeah.
And then of course they play Phoenix, which should be a win for them. They don't have a crazy tough schedule in the next week or so.
Yeah.
So I could see the streak going on for at least a few more games. But no, I don't see them really challenging any records. Do you?
No, but I could see them going 16-0 in the playoffs. Maybe. I feel like it's in the cards, depending on.
Didn't they do it a couple? No, they went 16-1.
Depending on how DeMarcus Cousins' rehab goes on the court, see if he gets back to his regular self. Obviously, Steph, Clay, KD, and even Draymond, they lock into some crazy NBA Finals skills. But that doesn't make sense. But they turn into super versions of themselves during the playoffs. So it's in the cards.
It's in the cards, but let's think of who they would play, right? Assuming Golden State finishes with the 1 seed, who would they be playing first round? Like the Clippers or the Lakers or something like that. So if they played Lakers first round, honestly, simply the fact that they would have LeBron on that team, I think they could take the Warriors to more than 4 games. I think they could take them to 5. Yeah. I don't know about 6 or 7, but 5 games they could take Golden State to. Yeah. But if Golden State sweeps them...
You could argue the Lakers are going to be the toughest team in the playoffs for the Warriors.
I mean, when they had LeBron, they beat Golden State bad.
The Nuggets don't have any playoff experience. The Thunder, I think they are a solid defensive team, solid offensive team.
And they've got some playoff experience, of course, with Westbrook.
But if the Warriors get fire or catch fire from 3, there's no stopping them because the Thunder don't shoot threes at a high volume. And then, who else do you have? The Rockets. James Harden, and if you can stop Harden, then you're
right. But if they cannot stop James Harden, if James Harden, which no team has been able to do this year, if James Harden drops 40 or 50, which he undoubtedly could, drop that on Golden State, then I think Houston could definitely take Golden State to more than 4 games.
Yeah.
And of course, assuming Chris Paul's back by that time.
Yeah. And then the Clippers, I think the Warriors would sweep easily.
Oh, yeah.
Same with the Kings.
They'd sweep easily. Yeah. All those, 8th seeds.
And then in the East, I think the Celtics are the best matchup for them.
In the finals?
Yeah.
You could get that Steph versus Kyrie.
I think that's the matchup everybody wants. It's Kawhi and KD was fun, and KD scored 51. That game was really entertaining.
Yeah.
But the Raptors were blowing them out at the beginning. The Celtics game last night was nip and tuck the whole way through.
Yeah, it was back and forth.
It was just a lot of fun to watch, and I think that's the finals that most people want to see. And that's at least the finals I want to see. I think that'd be fantastic.
I would want to see that, but I would also want to see Raptors versus Warriors. I think could be an interesting series.
Yeah.
Obviously,
it's not the same star power, though.
Yeah, it's not. Because, Golden State, obviously, they have all those great players, and then you look at the Raptors. You've got Kyle Lowry, who may or may not be an All-Star this year. Kawhi, of course, is one of the best players in the league. But besides that,
Siakam.
who else? Siakam. I mean, Ibaka. A bunch of guys who are good, just not great. And so.
If you're the Warriors, if you're not going to play LeBron in the finals, you got to at least play Kyrie, or this is going to be crazy.
Yeah. Honestly, am I the only one who doesn't want to even see Golden State go to the finals?
They're the most fun team to watch, though. Hate them.
Love them or hate them, they are the most fun team to watch. They move the ball very well, of course, with all the stars on their team.
And then you never know who's going to drop 40.
And it could be, it's like Steph has an off night. Oh, KD will fill in for him. KD doesn't do it. Oh, well, Clay might drop 50 points with 4 dribbles, Yeah. And then that doesn't work. Go to Cousins down low. They're an incredibly fun team to watch. In my opinion, the most fun to watch in the league, even though they're not my favorite team. And it does get a little bit boring watching them go to the finals and win every year. You want to see someone else win. Of course, that's not going to happen.
Could change after the summer, depending on...
Could change after the summer. I don't think they have the cap space to keep all of them, but that's a whole other topic. That's a topic for a future video.
All right, so our final topic before we end it is Mike Conley, and Mike Gasol are on the trading block.
You said Mike Conley and Mike Gasol. You just mixed up their names twice.
What?
You said Mike Gasol.
I did.
Mike Conley and Mark Gasol.
Mike Conley and Mark Gasol are on the trade block now for the Memphis Grizzlies. So we're not going to get too far into it because this video has already been pretty long. But I'm just going to ask you, what do you think? So first of all, who do you think is most likely to get traded or easiest to trade? And then what do you think is reasonable for them?
I think that Mike Conley is more likely to get traded than Mark Gasol. You could argue that Mike Conley is a better player than Mark Gasol, but Mark Gasol has kind of been their figure. Type of player. You think the Grizzlies. Who you think of? You think Marc Gasol.
Yeah.
At least I do. I
frequently look at Marc Gasol and say he's a real figure type of player. That's what I always say.
Yeah, that is what I always think. What I'm trying to say is he's kind of their figurehead. You think You think Memphis Grizzlies player, at least for me, Marc Gasol is the first one that comes to mind, and then Mike Conley. I would think Mike Conley is more likely to get traded. And he had his injury, and and both of them are getting up there in age, and they're not getting anywhere in Memphis. I think they both
will get traded.
I don't know if they both will get traded, but I think it would be in both of their best interests to get out of Memphis, whether that's a trade or leaving whenever they become free agents. Marc Gasol is 33, Mike Conley is 31. They're not getting any younger. They're exiting their primes. Neither of them... Well, Mike Conley is actually having a great year, but neither of them are going to be really getting better at this point.
Right. No.
So I think it would be in both of their best interests to get out of there, because they're not going to get anywhere in Memphis. They're not even a playoff team right now.
So I'm going to disagree with you on who I think is most likely to get traded. If you took contracts out of it and was just based on raw skill, I agree Conley's the better player and he would get more value. But his contract is crazy long and crazy expensive.
He's one of the most overpaid players in the league.
Yeah, so that might be a hard contract to move. Maybe get him to a team that really needs a starting point guard, but then you're not going to be getting many assets back.
Right, but then you think that...
two rebuilding teams trading aren't going to get anything great.
Yeah, but then you have to think that, obviously, if the Grizzlies don't have the cap space necessarily to keep paying, or it's very pricey for them to pay a player like Mike Conley, who's getting up there in age, him, of course, being one of the highest, one of the higher paid players in the NBA and one of the most overpaid, in my opinion, then you think if he doesn't get traded, I'm not sure when he becomes a free agent, but when he does, would he leave them? Because is another team necessarily going to pay him the money that Memphis is paying him?
I don't know if any team will pay him that much money.
No team is going to pay him that much. I don't know if Memphis will even continue to pay him that much once his contract is up. By the time his contract is up, he'll be even older, and I don't know if it would be in Memphis's best interest to try to pay him. Maybe they could start a full-fledged rebuild, which I think is what's in their best interest right now. They need to tank, get some draft picks, because right now they're playing terribly with Conley and Gasol, who could be playing better somewhere else and finishing their careers somewhere else on a better team.
Yep. All right, so that's gonna wrap it up for this video. Before we finish it though, I want to give a quick shout out to two of our most valued viewers, Noah Martin and Caden Hears. Both have been commenting very what's the word? Supportive comments on the videos. Mm-hmm. So if you guys even watch till the end, thank you so much for doing it. Now, it doesn't just need to be limited to two people giving us nice comments. Everybody do it. You don't have to give us nice comments or even comment at all, but just tell your friends, tell your family, tell your family's friends, tell your friend's family to just watch the debate mates. We're trying to grow, get bigger, get better.
We work hard on this. We try to get in here a few times a week, and it's not always easy with our schedules and with school, and we don't live crazy close, so it's hard to get in here a lot to film together, and we work really hard on this, and we hope to see this channel go somewhere in the future, so we're pretty much trying to get anything we can right now while we're still trying to grow.
Tell everybody that you know to watch it. There's going to be a link on the Debate Mates Instagram and on mine, as well as maybe Jack's, I don't know.
I can put one up.
Yeah, so just check those out, find the link, spread it around, click on it, watch it, like it, whatever you want to do. Just make sure to tell everybody that you know, tell friends, family, tell them to watch the Debate Mates and tell them it'll change their lives. So that's it for the Debate Mates. Again, thank you to Noah and Caden for your awesome comments. Keep doing that, please. We really appreciate it, and tell everybody you know. So that'll do it, as I said, for the third time. So thank you so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed, and hopefully by the next video, we'll know our all-star teams and we can do something fun.
Yeah, we'll see you in the next video.